ערב טוב, חודש טוב, שבוע טוב, הכל טוב. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Yaakov, for organizing such a beautiful event, and whoever else was involved in preparing and working and advertising. And so, Bezrat Hashem, Zchut HaRabim Mesayatam should have bracha in everything that you do. It's a very special night. It's the Rosh Chodesh of Chodesh Adar, the month of happiness and laughter and success and growth and all these good things. The topic that we chose for tonight, we titled it as, what is my purpose in life? Now, besides that I want to be very rich, that's most people what they like, but really what is my purpose in life? And some people are not even in the point of asking even that question. They're still in some wonderland that they don't even think of that. But some of the people already reached to the point that they're like, okay, what is my purpose in life? I came here for 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, if I'm lucky, and now what? And unfortunately, nobody has this answer, but everybody wants to know it. And when I was preparing for the shiur, I was like, really? That's a course, it's not a class. Because to try to understand a little bit the meaning behind this life will take you decades of learning the wisdom of God to understand a little bit what Hashem wants from me. So it's almost impossible to contract it into a small topic. But Hashgacha Pratit, I'm sitting on the plane today. Baruch Hashem landed 3 hours ago, and reading today's Parashat HaShavua, and everything is b'Hashgacha Pratit, everything is organized from above. The answer to all of our questions is not only in our weekly parasha, it's in today's reading. Very simple. And that kind of summarized everything that I wanted to talk about within one sentence. And if you open the Chumash of this week's parasha, Parashat Truma, it tells you, V'asitem li migdash, v'shachanti betocham. End of story. That's my purpose in life. Hashem tells me, all I want you to do is to make a place for me to be in this world. V'asitem li migdash, you should build for me a sanctuary, a migdash, and I will dwell in you. And if I dwell in you, you're set to go. You're partners with the master of the universe. The question is, what does it mean, a mikdash? What, I'm going to start building now a building? I'm going to build a synagogue? What is the mishkan or the mikdash that the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants me to build for him? So in general, my purpose in life is to make a space for the Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world. There's a question in the Midrash, why did the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted this world? He has millions of other worlds. He has billions of angels. He can do whatever he wants. This is what interests him, this little world. The Midrash answers, Nit'ava lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu liot lo dira b'tachtonim. He had a desire to have a dwelling place in the lower realms, in the lower place. Why? That we're not going to understand why. If we want to try to understand why, because the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it says, "B'makom shetimtza et anvatnuto," when you'll find his humbleness, that's where you're going to find his greatness. Bo timtza et gdulato. The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm great in the heavens. I want to be great down here. Because the reality is that we don't see God here and we don't feel God here. And to find him here, it's almost impossible. But Hashem tells us, I want to dwell in the lowest realm. I want to be in the lowest place in the universe, and you are the one who's going to do it for me. How are you going to do it for me? You're going to make me a tabernacle. You're going to make for me a mishkan in this world. In the same reading of the parasha, it's talking about building the Aron Kodesh. And in the Aron Kodesh, it had, if you notice, the measurements are not. It's not only that it's a not equal number, it's a half. 2.5 amma, why half? Because I'm half, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the other half. If I think that I'm full, and there's no room for something else, then I cannot be a mishkan. I'm only half. And I'm only half in regards to me and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm also only half in me in any other relationship. With me and my wife, I'm half. With me and my partner, I'm half. With me and a stranger, I'm half. I'm not a whole. I always have to be humble. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu comes and tells me, I want you to build me a Mishkan, I want you to build me a tabernacle, and then I will dwell in you. Now amazingly, it all funnels to the same thing. I told you, everything happens b'hashgacha pratit, everything is calculated from above, that tonight is the Rosh Chodesh of the month of Adar. In 2 weeks, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to celebrate Purim. Exactly 2 weeks. Purim is one of the 2 holidays that will remain forever. It says that very soon when Mashiach is going to come, all the holidays are going to be cancelled, and at some point all the mitzvot are going to be cancelled. The only thing that we're going to be left with is the holiday of Purim and the holiday of Chanukah. Now, not that necessarily the holiday will be cancelled, or the actual mitzvah is going to be cancelled. This is already an argument. Really, the mitzvot are going to be cancelled? The mitzvot are supposed to be forever. There's many different opinions and arguments about that. That's not the point. The point is that the reason why our sages tell us that the holidays and the mitzvot are not going to be cancelled is because in the time of Mashiach, the godly revelation is going to be that godly revelation every day. So every day is going to be Pesach, and every day is going to be Rosh Hashanah, and every day is going to be Shabbat. But the revelation, the godly revelation that happens on Purim and on Chanukah comes from a level that is called above descending chain, Me'al Seder Ishtalshelut. Therefore, it's not going to be something that we're going to have every day. It's going to happen exactly like we have now, a Chanukah and a Purim. That's why these 2 holidays that we celebrate are not biblical. They are from the sages. And these holidays, as special as they are, we don't stop from working. We don't do a special meal or special events. We do, but not like a festival from the Torah. Why? Because the godly revelation that happens on that day is way beyond what we can handle. Now, what does it mean, a godly revelation? It means, the translation is He'ara Elokit, as a type of a revelation that comes from a very high place. In Hebrew, He'ara comes from the word Or. Or is a light. Now, Hashem is compared to Or. We call him Or Ein Sof, the endless light. But it's not the lights that you see here in the light bulb. That's a lot of people, they're trying to understand. They're saying, oh, He'ara, oh, it's a light. You turn on the lights. It's more of a revelation. It's almost like me coming and telling you now, you see that safe over there? There's $500 million in cash. You want the code? Oh, the code is the revelation, because now you can open the safe. If you don't open the safe, the money stays in the safe, you have no access to it. But if I give you the code, now you have access to this information. So this is a kind of to understand what's a godly revelation. That Hashem kind of gives me a secret to some type of hidden information. And on the holiday of Chanukah and the holiday of Purim, this revelation is coming from the highest level of godly revelations. Now, what is it going to do with us? Because in 2 weeks we're going to celebrate the holiday of Purim, and in the holiday of Purim, there's already hinted everything that I need to do in the mitzvot of Purim. We mentioned that in a couple other classes, especially the class that we had a few months ago in Great Neck about Mashiach, about the 4 mitzvahs that are done on Purim. There are 4 mems. We have Mikra Megillah, we have Mashloch Manot, Matanot Le'Evyonim, and Mishteh V'Simcha. These are the 4 mitzvahs that we have to do on Purim, and everybody has to do it, including women and children. And each mitzvah starts with the letter Mem, which the concept behind Mem, that Mem, if you look at the letter, it has a wall on one side, a wall on the other side, and a base, but it has a little opening on the bottom. It's not a complete Mem. But Mem is one of the letters that has an end Mem, Mem Sofit, which is like a square. Amazingly, what we're required to do is a Mishkan. Mishkan is also with a Mem, with the letter Mem. And why Dafka Mem? What's in the Mem? If you look at the letter that the Torah starts with, is the letter Bet, which one might say, start the Torah with the letter Aleph. I mean, that's the first letter. Or why Dafka Bet? So Bet, if you look at the structure of the letter, has a wall on the right side, a ceiling, and a base. But it's missing one wall on the left. This is called Ruach Tzfonit, the northern part. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world and started the Torah with the letter Bet to show that one place is open where the Yetzer Hara can come in. The Yetzer Hara has 7 names. One of them is Tzafon, Tzfoni, hidden. Why is it called like that? Because the Yetzer Hara has many different ways how he comes to attack me, so to say. But the most harsh way that the Yetzer Hara is going to come when it's hidden. And Tzafun in Hebrew is hidden. Something that is hidden very well, it's called Tzafun. And there's also a word in Hebrew that comes from the same root that is called Matzpon. Matzpon is my conscience. And my conscience is the one who stops me from doing the things that I don't want to do. And I do something wrong, I will steal, or I will cheat, or I will hurt another person, my conscience will start saying, you shouldn't have done that. It's not nice. Why did you do it? And then I feel bad. And then it stops me from doing bad things. The Yetzer Hara in the level that is called Tzafun, Tzfoni, he comes to annihilate that. I don't want you to have a conscience. I want you to be as cold as ice. And when you go and hurt somebody, I don't care if you have feelings or not. I want you to be solid like a rock. That's where the Yetzer Hara comes in the most severest way to attack me. It doesn't come in a frontal way saying, yeah, commit the sin. It comes and manipulates the situation that my conscience, that stops me from doing something wrong, is numb now. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world with the option that there has to be a Yetzer Hara. Has to. If there wouldn't be a Yetzer Hara, there's no point to do the world. The Zohar explains that before the world was created, just to have a little bit of history, first there was only the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hu v'Shmo, only him. There was only the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Then he wanted to be a king. So, en melech belo am, there's no such a thing to have a king without a nation. If I don't have a nation, who am I going to be king over? So he created a nation. He created a nation of souls that he will be king over. And through the Spirit, the Kadosh Baruch Hu shined his godly light, and all these souls were receiving this tremendous pleasure just seeing the wisdom of the Master of the universe. He was projecting his unbelievable wisdom, and they would just receive it. And this went on for a certain amount of time. At some point, all the souls felt very, very bad, and they said, listen, will you just give us, and you give us, and you give us, and we also want to give something. We feel bad that we're just taking. The Zohar calls it Nehama Diksufa, bread of shame. Like a poor person that comes and knocks on your door and tells you, can you give me some money? And the next day, can you give me something to eat? Can you help me? Can you help me? At some point, it's embarrassing already. The Zohar says that they felt embarrassed. So Hashem says, no problem. I have a solution. I will create a world, and I'll put your souls in bodies, and I'm going to give you a lot of mitzvot to do, and you're going to earn your reward. And that way, you're not going to feel shame. You're going to earn what you deserve. And that way, you did a lot, you get a lot. You did a little, you get a little. Fair. And that way, you don't have to feel bad that you're just getting and getting. Of course, before the souls were able to say Jack Robinson, the world was created, and the souls were not, no, they were joking. Why are you taking us seriously? But it was already too late, and the world was created. And in order for this whole plan to come to fruition, had to be some type of an opposition, some type of a force that will try to convince me to work. And that's the Yetzer Hara. And if you go to the first story in the Torah, Hashem created the world, then he created Adam and Chava, and then he created the Nachash. Now a lot of people think that the Nachash, the snake, is like this little spaghetti going into Gan Eden, and people think that Gan Eden is like this tropical place with waterfalls and beautiful birds, and Adam and Eve are sitting with pina coladas there. And the reality is that Gan Eden is a state of mind. It's a spiritual place. That the Gemara says that the head of Adam Arishon was in Olam HaAtzilut, in Gan Eden, and his feet were in this world. The Gemara says that the Adam Arishon was 500 amot high. That's like 150 meters. It's like an Empire State Building. Now, whether it's literally or not, that's not the point. The point was that his head was in Gan Eden, in a spiritual place, but his body was in this world. And then the Nachash didn't like what he was seeing, the snake, and he had to ruin the party and had to come to create problems. And up until today, that's the one that we're battling. That's the one we're fighting. Now this Nachash, Yetzer Hara, this is the power that comes to make me do something. If there would not be a Yetzer Hara, then there wouldn't be any resistance. It's almost like me going now to the gym, the most fanciest gym in New York. I paid the highest amount, and imagine me just coming into the gym, sitting on the chair. Nothing's going to happen. I have to push something, and I have to push something that will have a resistance. If I'm just going to sit on the chair like this, or just go with my hands like that, nothing's going to happen. I have to push a piece of weight. Why? Because with the resistance, there can be a development. So the Yetzer Hara is actually my friend. He's not somebody that is annoying me. He's creating resistance. That if I'm just going to sit like this all day long, nothing's going to happen. So the Yetzer Hara comes and he starts creating situations that will be some type of resistance, that I'm going to have to go out of my way. So the world was created in such a way that the Sefer Torah starts with the letter Bet, showing that there has to be room for the Yetzer Hara to come in. If there's no room for the Yetzer Hara to come in, there's no purpose here. There's a story that it's told about the holiday of Hanukkah, that at the time of Hanukkah, before the whole story happened, the biggest Yetzer Hara of that generation, and the generation before that, was idol worship. Now we don't understand what it means, idol worship. Idol worship is not necessarily to bow down to an idol. But the desire, the te'ava, this lust for idol worship 2,000 years ago was so powerful that it's almost compared to a person in our generation that is addicted to drugs, that he cannot hold the addiction. He has to have the drug. That's how powerful the pull to Avodah Zarah was. To a point that they could not stand it even. So their sages came at the time that says we have to annul this Yetzer Hara. And with that, we're going to annul another Yetzer Hara that is called forbidden relations, Arayot. And that's what they did, they annulled it. Now the problem was that with the Avodah Zarah, with idol worship, that worked well. But with the other one, with forbidden relation, they saw after 2-3 days that there's no eggs. Because the female chicken, the way she gets pregnant is when the male chicken does his crow. And then she gets pregnant. And now they canceled the whole concept of relations, so the chickens weren't even laying eggs. There wasn't even the urge for any type of creature to procreate. Not animals and not human beings. Because they took away the Yetzer Hara of any type of relations, forbidden or permitted. So they had to reverse it back again. So what they annulled at the time is the klipa, the Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah. Instead of that came a different Yetzer Hara. That's when the kingdom of Yavan rose. And they brought with them the whole wisdom of Yavan. The whole concept of what's called Ta'anugot HaGuf, the pleasure of my bodies. Because Yavan came with all these, Yavan is Greece, with all these ideas of sports. They had 3 major cities. We don't need to do a shiur about Hanukkah. You can actually find an interesting shiur on my website talking about this mystical concept. Everything that we read in our history, it's not a story. It's a mystical concept. And I explained there about the concept of Yavan, of Malchut Yavan, of the Klipa of Yavan. Because the Klipa of Yavan is all about my physical pleasures. Because they cared about is physical pleasures. And we are trapped in this Klipa about anything that gives me pleasure. A good cake, a good cup of coffee, a good vacation. Everything that gives me some type of a pleasure, it comes from a very, very powerful force, a klipa, a negative force that pulls me in it, because the Torah is the opposite. Torah doesn't promote physical pleasure. It promotes spiritual pleasure, the real pleasure. Not the pleasure of a piece of cake right now, or something very, very short. So they annulled the Avodah Zarah, the idol worship, but instead came a completely different problem. The problem is that we see this fight as my enemy, instead of seeing this fight with the Yetzer Hara as my personal trainer. That's my resistance. Going back to Purim, So we have 4 mitzvot that all start with mem. I mean, come on. I mean, they could make it that the one mitzvah will start with a bet or with a gimel. All start with a mem. Why? Because the mitzvot of Purim, when I'm doing it, I have one little opening in them. The mem, that is not the mem stuma, so it's kind of sealed from all directions, but it has a little opening in the bottom. There's still a place for the Yetzer Hara to come from the bottom quietly and create a problem. Ultimately, I have to get to a point that my mem is stuma, is a square, the last mem sofit. And this is the concept of Vasitim li mikdash v'shachanti betocham, because there's a big question, what does it mean? It says Vasitim li mikdash, and you should make for me a sanctuary, and then it says v'shachanti betocham, I will dwell in them. That's plural. Betocho it should say, in it. Why is it saying betocham? Betocham is many, many. So our sages say, betocham, it means betoch kol echad, in each everyone. That's why you have plural, betocham. But the Ari HaKadosh says no. Take the word betocham and cut it, and you'll get 2 words, betoch, mem. Which means that the dwelling has to be in the mem stuma, in the sealed mem. Which means I have to bring myself to a point that I seal my mem, that I don't let the Yetzer Hara come in. That's why the mitzvahs of Purim are the hint, or the secret of how I should go out of my own exile. And not only that, how I can uproot the Amalek that's in me. Because in the story of Purim, even though it really happened, exactly like Rashi says, En mikra yotze midei pshuto, exactly how it says, that's how it happened. But there's also a mystical explanation behind that. And in the mystical explanation, it means that all the characters that are in the Megillah of Purim are in me and are in my life. There's a king, in the Megillah it's Achashverosh, but in my reality there's Melech Malchei Amlachim, the king of the world. And there's also a Mordechai, there's always a tzaddik. And there's always going to be a Haman, the Haman that's in me, the Amalek that it's in me. And when the Megillah is talking about Esther, it's talking about us. We are Esther. We are the queen. And the queen, Esther, she was locked in the palace. She was locked there for a whole year. Now, if you want to go into the depth of the story of Purim, people think that Esther was this 19-year-old beauty pageant, queen of the world. She was 70 years old. She wasn't a little girl when she was brought into the palace. She was gorgeous. As it says in the Megillah, "Umatzah chen b'nei hamelech." Hashem gave her such beauty that the king saw that she was much more prettier than all the other girls. She had this beautiful grace, unbelievable grace. But she was locked in the palace, and she was, so to say, forced to be in the palace. That goes on my neshama. My neshama is in a palace. But it's a palace of impurity. The palace of Achashverosh was a palace of impurity. You know what? They had a half-a-year party. Here in this world, go to your wildest dreams, to the wildest place in the world. You're not going to find a party more than 3 days. They had a half-a-year party. Can you imagine half a year, every night, things going on, everybody drinking, getting drunk, and can't even imagine what was going on in that party. And for half a year, this is what's going on. So she was trapped in a palace of impurity, which corresponds to us. We are trapped in a palace of impurity, with all sorts of thoughts running in our mind all day long, all sorts of desires I want, and lust, all sorts of things. My palace is full of impurity. And I'm this queen. We are called Knesset Israel. We are the queen. It says that on Knesset Israel that we are the Kala, the bride. So you can read it as Kala, as a bride. But Arizal says, comes from the word klot hanefesh, that we have this desire to be attached to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And in this palace of Achashverosh, this palace of impurity, amazingly it says that this palace had a lot of rooms, and all the rooms had a lot of windows that they could see everywhere. There was no privacy there. If you attended the last lecture here in Great Neck about Mashiach, when I told you how the Zohar is talking about 3 wars before the coming of Mashiach, Gog and Magog, World War I, World War II, and then it's talking about the 3rd war, Gog and Magog. And I mentioned there that World War III, this Gog and Magog that we're battling now, comes from the word, Gog comes from the word in Hebrew, Gigim. Gigim is thoughts. And this is the war of thoughts. And what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says in the Dor is that this war, if Chas v'Shalom we're not going to do what we're not to do, it will manifest into the world, into a spiritual war, into a physical war. But the spiritual war is the war of the thoughts that we have in our mind. We have constantly thoughts in our mind all day long. We're battling the war of thoughts in our mind. I call it the war of screens. If you didn't go to this lecture, then look at it online. But I'm talking about this concept that we all are controlled. The war of the thoughts are controlled with screens. We all have screens. Everybody has a screen now in their hand, right? We are attached to these screens. Whether it's an iPhone, whether it's an iPad, whether it's a computer, whether GPS, our entire world are screens, everywhere screens. And in this screen, there's such a powerful impurity that we are hypnotized into the screen. Now, amazingly, where do you see an unbelievable connection is that the Midrash says that in the palace of Achashverosh, there was a lot of rooms and a lot of windows. 20 years ago, this guy came to the world and invented a concept that is called Windows. And our entire systems are working on Windows. And even if it's working on an OS X operating system, it also has Windows. You have an iPhone or whatever it is, it has all these windows. You open a window, another window, another window. That's the technology that we have now. It's all Windows. 2,000 years ago, Achashverosh also had Windows. Haman knew how to control and to manipulate the situation with this technology. They didn't have technology then, but it says that the palace had all the windows. So really, I'm trapped in a palace. This is a palace. My body is a very holy body. It's a body that belongs to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Doesn't belong even to me. It's a holy palace. And in it, I have a Haman. I have an Amalek in me. It constantly tries to uproot me from Kedusha. And it's controlling my thoughts. Haman in our generation doesn't come with guns to my head. That happened 100 years ago. The Haman in our generation comes in my thought. How to manipulate this business deal. How to manipulate the situation that here I can be more stronger, powerful, or more smarter. Constantly I have a war in my mind. So when I connect all the dots together, that on the special nights of Rosh Chodesh Adar, that Rosh, really, the translation of Rosh is a head. Really, it shouldn't be called Rosh Chodesh. It should be called Tchilat HaChodesh, the beginning of the month. Same thing with Rosh Hashanah. What is it called Rosh Hashanah? Called Tchilat Hashanah. Tchilah is the beginning. But it says Rosh. Rosh is the head. Why? Because everything is included in the head. Chas v'shalom, you can cut a person's limb. He will still be alive. You cut the head off, that's it. And not only that, the mochin, the intellect is in the head. Everything is in the head. In any organization, take a big organization, take away the head, then the organization doesn't work anymore. So, technically, it should have been called Tchilat HaChodesh or Tchilat Shana, but it's called Rosh HaChodesh and Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because in this day, all the days of the coming month, or in Rosh Hashanah, all the days of the coming year, is in that day. And it comes out later on, and you start bringing it out to the open. So this is not such a regular day. The Rosh of the Chodesh has in it all the days of the upcoming month. Now every month in the Jewish calendar has a certain power. And it has a certain character. And has a certain motion. And the motion of the month of Adar is called tzchok. Tzchok is laughter. If you notice, when you say Shir HaMa'alot, when you say Birkat HaMazon, what do we say? Shir HaMa'alot, Beshuv Hashem et Shivat Tzionenu kecholmim. Then what do we say? Az yemale tzchok pino. The laughter in our mouth. Now there are two types of laughters. There's a laughter that comes from a very bad place. And this is what's called leitzanut, making jokes. This is not a good laughter. Even though it makes you maybe a little bit more happy or whatever, this is not a good laughter. This is not laughter that's coming from purity. It's laughter that's coming from impurity. But there is a laughter that is called tzchok that comes from a very deep place of our neshama, and that's a very, very powerful tzchok. That's why it says that when Mashiach is going to come, then we're going to realize, then our mouth is going to be filled with laughter. I mean, sometimes somebody tells you a joke or you see a certain scene or something and you laugh so hard that this laughter is so powerful. Laughter in our life can change my entire reality. If I laugh 2-3 minutes a day, but real laughter, not nonsense, not the jokes and all sorts of movies that make no sense, but real laughter, if a person can carry in his life a minute or 2-3 minutes a day of serious laughter, that's going to be the most healthiest person in the world. You see, now they understand. They bring clowns to hospitals, and they bring all sorts of entertainers to the hospital because a person half dead. Just give him a good joke. That's it. He's already a little bit more alive. So the emotion of the month of Adar is laughter. And again, not laughter that you say a joke and you laugh, but the inner laughter, this unbelievable happiness that comes from within. So Rosh Chodesh Adar is a very special time. More than that, we want to try to figure out what is my purpose in life. So yes, my purpose in life, to sum it up, is to make a dwelling place for the Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world. That's what I was created for. I was not created to be a singer, not an architect, not a lawyer, not a model, not anything else. As long as I understand that what I was created for is not the right purpose, then I will never be successful in anything that I do. Because I constantly will build all these ideas and they're not true. Now, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is called Emet. It says on the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem Emet v'Torato Emet, which means that the entire foundation of the Torah Emet is truth. The entire foundation of the Torah is truth. Unfortunately, 99.9 people in the universe are distorting the truth. They don't want to do anything with the truth. I'm not talking about lying right now. I'm not talking about deceiving and cheating. I'm talking about seeing the reality as the truth. And this is where the foundation lies, because the reality is that most of us are liars. And a lot of people look at me like, oh, he's not talking about me. I'm not a liar. Yeah, I'm talking about everybody. We're all liars. We lie to each other, we lie to people, all day long we lie. If you monitor yourself, take yourself a notepad and write down every day, but be honest. When you lie, you'll see that you lie a couple dozen times a day. And lying is a very severe sin, by the way. It's not a recommendation. Lying is a sin. It's a severe sin. It's taking the truth of the Kadosh Baruch Hu and distorting it. So I'm now testifying against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, this is the truth. Why are you manipulating it? Why are you changing it? Forget about the outcome of lying. Lying is one of the worst things you can do. And the reality is that we all lie. We constantly lie. Oh, it's just a white lie. It's not so bad. I don't know who came up with the term white lie. Why can't it be a blue lie? White. Why white? It's not really a lie. I'm just not saying the truth. Not saying the truth is lying. So the reality is that we all lie. But the worst of it, part of it, is that we lie to ourselves. Now we can try to lie to everybody around us and it might work, but I cannot lie to myself and I cannot lie to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So when I lie to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's like, come on, I know your thoughts. Why are you lying to me? So when I lie to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's just making a joke out of myself. But worse than all that, I lie to myself. Now how do I lie to myself? Is that I convince myself that what I want or what I like, that is the truth. Instead of liking the truth, I make what I like the truth. And that's the problem of most people. You understand what I'm saying? I'll repeat it again. Instead of liking the truth, changing myself to like the truth, I make the truth what I like. That's what I like, I'll make that the truth. And then my entire thought, my chain of thought, my focus is on the wrong focus. Because I make the truth what I like. I like fancy cars, that's the truth. Now I have to manipulate the situation. How do I get a nice car? This is one example out of many. The point is to seek the truth, what the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants for me to do. Then to change myself to like the truth. Right now I don't like the truth. I don't like waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to come to the minyan. I don't like that. It's not comfortable when it's 10 degrees outside to come out of bed and to pray here for a whole hour. Can't I do it at 12? So I don't like this truth. So my truth is it's okay to pray at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's what I like. Now it becomes my truth. And this is one example out of many. The point is that I want to find my purpose in life. And that's the question that everybody has. I mean, if you don't have that question, that's a whole different story. That's a problem in itself. If I don't find myself throughout my life looking in the mirror and saying, why am I here? What I came here for 70 years, for 80 years, to take space in this world, to waste the air in this world, and then when I leave, what are they going to tell about me? He was annoying. He was a thief. He was a cheater. Why did I come here? If I'm not asking these questions to myself, that's already a problem. So if you're in the level that you don't ask these questions, that you gain what you need to gain from this night, you can leave and say, okay, now I have to start asking questions. Why am I here? Because the reality is, it doesn't matter if you're religious, you're not religious, it has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with, even when I wasn't religious, I said, this life doesn't make sense. I came here for 70 years to breathe a lot of air, and then I'm going to become manure. That's what I came here. Even when I wasn't religious, it didn't make sense, this idea. Has to be something. Has to be some type of a purpose. The reality is that there is some type of a purpose. The purpose is way beyond what we can understand. We cannot understand that because it's the wisdom of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's almost like me coming now to a doctor and telling him, can you tell me in 5 minutes, summarize the entire concept of the human anatomy? You can't. I just learned 10 years in university to become a doctor. I cannot give it over in 5 minutes. I can give it over, not in 5 minutes. So to understand what the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants, that's not so easy. First I have to come to the point that I have to find myself saying, why am I here? Why did the Kadosh Baruch Hu brought me to this world? He did not bring me to this world to become a successful businessman or to become whatever I want to become. He brought me into this world because I have the ability of creating a space in the world that through me the Kadosh Baruch Hu can operate. That's the commandment. I want you to be now my diplomat in Great Neck, or in Brooklyn, or in Queens, and you have to refine yourself to a point that I'll come and dwell in you. And that's, in 2 words, the purpose of life. Now, how do I do it? That's a whole story, but from a whole different story. So first stage, I have to recognize the fact that I have a purpose, that I came to do something. I didn't come here for nothing. That's stage 1. If you pass that one, is what is my purpose? My purpose is definitely not to do anything that I'm probably doing up until today. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives me physicality, something physical, and he says, now transform it into spiritual. Don't use it for your own benefit. Don't use it for your own pleasure. That's not what I want. That's where the klippah starts holding into it. I want to give you physicality. There's nothing wrong with having money. Don't understand me wrong. There's nothing wrong in having status or fame or a diploma. There's nothing wrong with that. If you know how to use it. You can use it for kedusha, for holiness, and you can use it for the other side of holiness. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I want to give you something. Use it the right way. If you misuse it, I'll take it away. That's how it is. Your point is to take something physical, now transform it into something spiritual. I give you money, I want you to use that money for something spiritual. I give you wisdom, I want you to transform it to something spiritual. Anything that I give you very good hands to be an amazing carpenter, I want you to use that talent to transform it to something spiritual. Because the reality is that each and every one of us has some type of a talent that is unique. There's no such a thing that a person came down to this world and he doesn't have some type of a talent. Sometimes it's very, very obvious. Sometimes it's not so obvious. So if a person is a very talented musician, it's pretty obvious. Or an artist, or a craftsman. But in a lot of cases, it's not so obvious. But the reality is, our sage says, "Kechol shepartzufehem shonim," the same way that their faces are different, kach gam deotehem shonot. Also their opinions are different. Meaning from that even my spiritual structure is completely different. The proof that we're all different from each other, that we are unique, is in a very simple part of my hand, is that my fingerprint. You know, today I landed, the first thing they tell you to put your hand on the screen, put your fingerprint. Well, there's no other fingerprints like mine in the world that they can mistake? No. There's not one person in the world that has the same fingerprint like mine. And not only now, amongst the 7 billion people that are alive, also 50 years ago, also 100 years ago, also 200 years ago. So you're looking here at billions of people, that my fingerprint is unique. Now this is a very simple part of my body. Now they're finding technology about the eye that is even much more unique. Now everything that comes out in my body means that I have in my nefesh, that it's pushing it out like a mold into the body. Which means that if I have fingerprints, it means that my nefesh has these lines that are like a mold, that are pushing it out, so my body ejects these lines. Also my lines on my face. There's some type of a wisdom, it's called Chokhmat HaPartzuf, the teachings of Kabbalah teaching, all the lines in the face. If you know the Chokhmat HaPartzuf, the wisdom of the face, you can look at a person's face, see how all the lines are merging together, know everything about that person. So don't try to learn it, because it's very deceiving. A lot of people, they open certain books and they say, oh, if the eyebrows are going in that direction and the nose is like this and the eyes are like that, oh, that means the person is like this and like that. But if you're missing one detail, then you messed it up. So not even point of even getting into it. But the point is that my nefesh, which is the lowest level of my neshama, has all these components in it, and it kind of like pushes like clay from the inside. You know, there's once, I don't know if they have it in our days now, when I was a kid there was this game that it had like a lot of pins, and let's say if you would put it on your face, the pins would go out and had the shape of the face. You know what I'm talking about? This is exactly what's going on within me. The nefesh in me has a shape, and it pushes out on the body, so it comes out to the world. That's how I get my shape. And there's no identical person in the world. There's no such a thing. Even twins are not identical. I learned from that each and every one of us has a unique quality that nobody else has. Everybody else has unbelievable qualities, but I possess something that nobody else has. And I have to find out what it is so I can utilize it and transform it into spiritual, and that's going to be how I make space for the Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world. This is Vasitim li Mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not telling me build a synagogue or build a Beit HaMikdash. He tells me make your body the Mikdash. Make your mind a sanctuary. A Mikdash is something that is pure, that is holy, that is clean. It's not dirty, not contaminated, not impure, not everything that's really going on in my mind and in my heart. If I had some type of a device to aim at people and see their thoughts and their feelings, that would be a disaster. Can you imagine somebody hacking into your thoughts? Just imagine people just hack into your Facebook account or your email. Imagine somebody would hack into your thoughts. What of embarrassment that would be. Just imagine, and there is hacking into thoughts. The Kadosh Baruch Hu, Bochen Klarot Valev, Yodea Machshavot Adam. The Kadosh Baruch Hu knows everything. Before you even thought it, He knows it. Just imagine the embarrassment that one day these thoughts are going to be like, that's what you thought? I'm very sorry. Now what? So the Kadosh Baruch Hu tells me, I don't need you to impress me with all sorts of things. I need you to be simple. I need you to make your inside pure. I need you to value your virtues, and I need you to see the greatness of each and other individual. You have something unique. You have to find what it is, utilize it, bring it into action, because that's what I created you. I did not create you to work 80 years and to finance a bank with your mortgage. I created you for many other things. You need a mortgage because you need a place to live. And you need to drive a car, and I understand you need a vacation and nice clothes. I understand all that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I created you. I created you to refine the world. How do you do it? רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות. הקדוש ברוך הוא wanted to give the Jews many merits, so He gave them a lot of Torah and mitzvot. Now, the right way to look at it, the right approach, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says in the Zohar, don't say לזכות. רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכך את ישראל. He wanted to refine us. Lezakech is to refine. Going back to what I told you before, that all the souls were around the Kadosh Baruch Hu, they wanted to be refined. They were already at some type of a level. They saw this godly revelation. They understood that what they're getting is not even nothing compared to what they can get. They were begging the Kadosh Baruch Hu, let us get more. Then he says, no. If you want to get more, then you have to work on yourself. You have to refine yourself. You refine yourself, I'll give you much more. So really, if I want to look at it in a very superficial way, I came here to refine my system in order for me to reach to a much higher level, that when I come again to the spiritual world, I can be a much greater capacity to receive this godly revelation, which don't even try to understand what it means, because we're never going to understand what it means. Our mind cannot fathom what it means, godly wisdom. We're not. Don't even try. Just we should take our words, the words of our sages, that it's the best thing that can happen to us. Just for 1 second being next to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the only way for me to gain it is if I refine myself. How can I refine myself? It's all hidden in the Torah. The Torah might look like a historic book, and a very annoying book with very annoying rules. But the reality is the Torah tells me, oh, you want to find the purpose? Here, just read the Torah. It's not such a thick book, it's only this one. There are thicker books in this world, and people still read them. The Torah holds in it all the secrets of your success. You just have to become a vessel to receive it. The only way to receive this unbelievable depth is if I humble myself, if I understand that I'm nothing. If I think that I'm something, then I will never get the Torah. If I approach the Torah with some type of ego, then that I'm something, I will never get one word from the Torah. It will look like a boring story with a lot of boring rules and annoying rules, and I'm just going to walk out of the class or the whatever it is. I don't like that. If I approach the Torah being humble, that I'm nothing compared to the person who wrote the Torah, or the power that gave the Torah, then I become a vessel that I start seeing the beauty in it. The benefit from that is that I will start seeing where and how do I find how I reach to the purpose of what's my purpose in life. And my purpose in life is not what we think, not to work all day long and not to make more money and to have a second car and a third car and a bigger house and another mortgage and another this. This is all the side notes. Yes, you need a job. That's the reality. You need to have a house, you need to have a car, you need all these things. But that's not the focus. The focus is, what am I doing to serve Hashem? Everything else is I'm going to get regardless. If you have the habit of saying Birkat Hamazon, and if you don't, I strongly suggest you start doing that you take on yourself to say Birkat Hamazon every day. Most people, you'll give them out a piece of pizza or a roll, they'll tell you the famous question, is this mezonot? Why are you looking for a shortcut? Somebody's giving you now a $500 million check, and you're asking him, do you have maybe a $5 bill? That's the relation. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, sit for 5 minutes. What am I asking? 5 minutes, sit down on your duchas and say a few words. I'm giving you now the biggest present you can get. The only bracha from the Torah. Everything else from the sages. This is bracha from the Torah. And you're asking if it's mezonot? People come up with all sorts of inventions. I'll eat 3 bites, and they'll wait. I'll say, Men Shalosh, I'll wait, I'll take another bite. Just sit down for 5 minutes and say it's Birkat Hamazon. This is one of the most powerful mitzvot a person can do. If people would know just what it does, what benefit it does, then they would do it 3 times a day. Our sages said, don't go overboard. Just do it once a day. And we see it as a burden. But why am I saying that? Because it says in Birkat Hamazon, Ve'achalta ve'savata u'verachta. But really, what's the point? It says, Hazan u'farnes lakol. Did you ever see a dog or a deer with anxiety attacks? No, they're not worried. I never saw a cat. They know they're going to get food. They don't use Xanax and all these antidepressants because they don't have problems. Animals don't have problems. They don't get depressed. They don't have moods because they trust the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hazan u'farnes lakol. Zan feeds, and farnes gives sustenance. They know they're going to find food. Billions of animals, trillions of them, are all over the world. They always have what to eat. We are the only creature that is worried. How am I going to get food? How am I going to do this? What's going to happen? How am I going to get my job? By the fact that I'm worried, that's how I'm creating the lack of what I don't have. If I would not worry about anything, I will have everything that I need. In the portion that I'm supposed to get. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have piles of money. It just means that I'm going to have what I need to get. A fraction of people in the universe are so calm and they have trust and belief that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to send them their money and their food. They sleep good. They don't have ulcer and all sorts of other anxieties. Because Hashem sustains billions of people, He'll give me too. That's it. Most people, they build off this anxiety and this worry and this, I have to get, how am I going to get food? How am I going to get? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, just sit on a bench every day. Don't worry. Hazanu farnes hakol. I'll give you whatever you need to give. I'm not going to throw you to the street. You want to worry? Okay. So you're taking a step back. You know worry, how we say in Hebrew? Worry in Hebrew is de'aga. De'aga has all the letters starting from Aleph. Aleph, Gimel, Dalet, Hey. It's missing one letter in the order. It's missing the letter Bet. Because if I have Bet is bitachon, that I have trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If I have bitachon, I will never worry about anything. If I don't have trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, all day long I'll be worried. Where am I going to find parnasa? Who am I going to get married with? Where am I going to find to live? The landlord just kicked me out. What am I going to do? Well, I just got fired. All day long I'm worried. If I have bitachon in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm not worried about anything. You know, to this trip, last minute my daughter joined me. She was supposed to come tonight. She was jet lagged. She just fell asleep. And after we bought already the ticket, I look in the passport and her passport expired. Now there's no time to do a passport. We live in Israel. So I told her, don't worry. Don't worry. Kadosh Baruch Hu decided you're coming with me. There's a ticket. Don't worry. And everybody, my wife and her, what are you going to do? Don't worry. How did the song go? Don't worry. Be happy. Against all odds, and we were in the airport, she's already hyperventilating. My wife calls me, prepare your mom, that if they don't let her go on the flight, she comes and picks her up. I said, I packed a bag, she's coming. You have bitachon, everything works out. Of course, we came to the airport, they told us, what? No, it said, we didn't notice, here's her birth certificate, here's this, here's that. Okay, fine, go on the plane. We land in America, the same thing. My daughter was like shaking. I'm getting texts from my wife. Are you in? Are you in? Did they let you in? I'm like, why are you worried? And the guy in the immigration just tells me, just get a passport next time. So you don't worry about things. Things just go smoothly. You worry, you feed this thought, then you create this reality. And we all day long say, no, Hashem. Hashem says, let me worry about the problems. You know, there was once a story about this guy who finally reached to the point of his life that he was about to sign the $1 million deal. After all the preparations and all the presentations and finally the deal that if he signs it, that's it. The Facebook deal, $100 million. He wakes up 5 hours in advance, he's already showered, dressed, groomed, and he says, okay, the meeting is downtown, I'm not taking chances, I'm going 4 hours before, there's not going to be a chance that I'm going to run into traffic or parking problems. He comes in 3 hours before the meeting, he arrives at the building. He's all happy, starts circling the building, looking for parking. Another circle, another circle, another circle, then he goes a little bit of a wider circle, an hour passed, an hour and a half passed, 2 hours passed. He's like already starting to get uptight. What's going on here? I'm not finding parking. I'm already surrounding the city. I already did 50 miles around this building. Half an hour, 45 minutes, suddenly it gets like 15 minutes before the meeting. He's like, if I'm not going to find parking, the deal is over. And he freaks out, comes like 5 minutes before the meeting, and he already surrounded the entire building. He can't find anything. At some point he stops the car and he says, God, listen, I don't believe in you. I don't do mitzvot. I don't do anything. If you find to me a parking spot, I'm going to put tefillin on. I'm going to eat kosher. I'm going to keep Shabbat. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. Just find me a parking spot. As he finishes saying that, whoop, a car goes out. So he looks up and he says, no, it's okay, it's okay. I found one. So we hang our hopes on ourselves. We think that we have some control of the reality. The reality is that Hashem moves everything around in the world, and we don't give him zero credit. Hashem says, I'm worried about everything. I'm running the show here. You think that you have one piece of control here? You think that if you're going to stand in front of the mirror for 3 hours like that, that's what's going to make you find your other half? Just come with your pajamas. If it's your other half, she'll accept you as it is. The point is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you to do your part, I'll do the rest. Your part is I want you to create for me a mishkan in this world, and that's what you need to do. And you go and find what you need to do. And when you do that, I'll fill in the rest. If it says in the book that you have to be rich, you will be rich. Doesn't matter what you're going to do. And if it says you're not going to be rich, you're not going to be rich. Stop banging your head at the wall. Don't go running after a reality that will never exist. You know, our sage says, Ezehu Ashir, Hasamech Bechelko. Who's the real rich person? Who's happy with what he has. Money is nothing. Money comes and goes. There's much more things than money. And much more things that is true happiness. Now the reality is that it all funnels down to one concept that is called reincarnations. A lot of people think that a reincarnation is a punishment of me that I did something 500 years ago, and now Hashem sent me back into the universe to fix it, a correction. Now I have to fix my soul, like as if it's a car. I have to take it into the shop. I have to fix my soul. I don't have to fix nothing in my soul. There's nothing wrong with my soul. My soul is perfectly fine. What needs to be fixed is my mind, maybe, not my soul. But the Ari HaKadosh explains in Shar HaGilgulim, in the Gates of Reincarnation, that I have to come down to this world to complete something. First of all, I have to fulfill all 613 mitzvot in thought, speech, and action. In 3 levels that I'm able to serve Hashem, in my thought, in my speech, and in my action. And until I'm going to finish it, I have to come back here over and over. That's it. That's the basics of why I get reincarnated. More than that, my soul is built from 5 different levels. Going from the top, it's called Yechidah, then Chaya, then Neshama, then Ruach, then Nefesh. It's 5 components of my Neshama, of my soul. The words in English don't make much sense, because in Hebrew we say Neshama, in English we say soul, but it's not exactly like that. There are 5 levels, and I have to come down to this world to refine all these levels in order to be able to climb to a higher level, and a higher level, and a higher level, and essentially get some type of a godly revelation. So I have to come back here constantly in reincarnations. And the Arizal explains that we all have the same script, just that it comes in different times. So at some point we're all going to be rich. At some point we're all going to be poor. At some point we're all going to be widowed. At some point we're going to be murdered. At some point we're going to go through something. We all go through the same thing in different lifetimes. So one time this person is rich and that person is low, is poor. And then a different reincarnation, it's the other way around. But in essence, we all stand in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, we all had the same thing. There's not one neshama that can come and say, hey, it's not fair. If you would give me that person's life, I wouldn't have the same problem. I mean, why wouldn't you give me that person's life? And Hashem says, I give everybody the same thing, just in different times. So at some point, we all facing with the same challenge. So one time I'm high, one time I'm low. And so I will be able to go through all the types of challenges and to overcome it. And then, if we both have the same challenge, and I reached here and you reached here, then it means that you passed this challenge much better than me. Therefore, you get a greater reward than me. And the reward is not just, a lot of people have a distorted way of thinking, that they think that the whole concept of reward and punishment, that if I do something wrong, then somebody smacks me on my hand, and if I do something good, then somebody will give me a lollipop. That's not the concept of reward and punishment. The reward and punishment is how close I get to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So, to sum it all up, and Bemet, it's such a big topic that it really cannot be covered in one short lecture. The concept is, ועשיתם לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם. Exactly what if you open now the Chumash today's reading, that's the mitzvah that we have to take. And that's the amazing Hashgacha Pratit on such an auspicious day of Rosh Chodesh, the head, where everything is in the head. That's the time when I'm getting my hint, is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu says it's very, very simple. Just make yourself a tabernacle. Make yourself a mikdash. I don't need you to come with a 2-foot-long beard. You're not impressing me with a beard or with a black suit. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not a fashion designer. He doesn't care what you wear. He cares about the mikdash, the mishkan inside. If it's pure, if it's clean, if it's emet, if it's truth. Before the external part has the internal part. When I became religious for 2 years, I was in yeshiva. I refused to wear a suit and a hat and all the costume. I came to yeshiva with denim pants, with jeans, and a nice colorful shirt. And I was like, I'm not going to make my entire tshuva based on a costume. There's a reason why we wear suits. There's a reason why we have hats and the costume, so to say. But that's in a very external way. First, you do the internal way. So for 2 years, I was sitting in yeshiva. I was like, my tshuva is not about how black my suit is and how long my beard is. My tshuva is inside. If I'm honest. And if I'm honest with myself, then I'm ready to be honest with everybody around me. If I can be honest with myself, I will never be honest with other people. If I can accept my faults and be honest enough to say, hey, I'm not that great, then I will never accept somebody else's faults. Therefore, I think I'm got much better. If I'm not going to be able to see inside of me and psychoanalyze myself in an honest way, how am I going to operate in the world? So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, "V'banitem li mikdash," the inside. Mikdash comes from the word kadosh. Be holy. Don't need you to impress me too much. People think that if I sit and stand in yeshiva for 12 hours, I'm impressing the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I have many bigger sages than you that learned much more Torah than you. You'll never get to their pinky toe. I don't need you to impress me. I'm not telling you, Chas v'Shalom, not to learn Torah. You have to learn Torah. But that's not what I'm saying. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you want to impress me? You want to reach to some type of a level that you're trying to get to understand why you're here? Be holy. Be holy. Be pure. Purify your thoughts. Purify your emotions, your midot, your attributes. Work on yourself. Then you'll find your purpose here. And your purpose is not what you think. Because we tend, like I told you before, we tend to create the truth what we like. And not to make the truth, to make what I like the truth. Because if the truth for me right now is to be in this place, that's the truth. That's what the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants from me. It's going to help me if I whine, or if I go like this or like that. It's not going to help me at all. If I resist the will of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I'm never going to win. As long as I humble myself, I annul myself in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, then the Kadosh Baruch Hu can get dressed in me and start operating. And that's what it means, v'shachanti betocham. I'm going to dwell in you. Then I'm on autopilot. I'm just a body, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu operates in me. Suddenly my thoughts are different, my mouth, my speech is different. Then I really see my success. Now, I mentioned the whole concept of the reincarnation. There's a very special book by the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, who's known to be one of the most dominating Kabbalistic rabbis in our history. And he's my neighbor. I live 500 feet from him. The Arizal is a very special neshama that says on himself that he's a nitzotza, reincarnation of Moshe Rabbeinu. But the Arizal was born in Yerushalayim, and since he was a little kid, he was known already to be something not normal. In a later age, his father died, and his mother took him to Egypt, where he lived with his uncle. And from a very early stage, he had already what's called the Gilui Eliyahu. Eliyahu Navi used to reveal himself and teach him all sorts of things. At some point, he told him, I need you to go up to Tzfat, and you're going to look for a rabbi called Rabbi Chaim Vital, and I need you to instruct him and teach him. So he packs his bags, he goes to Tzfat, and at the time, you have to understand, Tzfat was the capital of Torah, of the universe. And this generation just understand the structure, what's going on. The Mara De'atra of the city is the one and only Maran Yosef Karo, the Baal Shulchan Aruch. He wrote the Shulchan Aruch. He's the rabbi of the city. The Mekubal of the generation is the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. And underneath him, another like 50 Mekubalim, that each one is like a bigger pillar than the other. Rabbi Chaim Vital, Shlomo El-Kabetz, and dozens of them, the Al-Sheikh, the Abu Hav. This is like a city that you walk in there, you feel like where am I? Walks in this young guy, the Arizal, 34 years old, goes to Rabbi Chaim Vital and tells him, Eliyahu sent me and I have to teach you some Torah. And of course, he kicked him out of the door right away. After him being a little bit pushy, he told him, okay, he asked him a few questions. Needless to say, the Arizal floored him completely floored him. And then he says, okay, now I'm ready to learn from you. He sat with him for one day and taught him, and he could not understand one word. The Rabbi Chaim Vital, and you have to understand, this is like a giant. The Arizal took him to the Kinneret, and he pulled out the well of Miriam, Be'er Miriam. We don't know exactly where it is. Some say it's in the Kinneret, some say it's around the Kinneret, but the Arizal know exactly where it is. He pulled it out, he gave him one cup from the well of Miriam, and he drank it, and he started delivering to him all his wisdom. That the truth is that we don't have almost a fraction of what the Arizal taught, because he would write everything in scripts, and at the end of the day he would burn it, so that nobody will have access to it. The story says that at one point the Arizal would barely sleep. He would take these short naps. He would put his head down, sleep for like a minute, get up. One time he fell asleep, and it was a long time. He said a couple hours. So there was a very rich man in the city, and he hired about 300 people. They all came, they took all the scripts, and they all, at night, copied it. And that's what we have from the Arizal is from that night. These are the Kitvei Arizal, the scripts of the Arizal. There's no books by the Arizal. Rabbi Chaim Vital took all his teachings and brought it into books. What we have is the scripts, and what we have is a drop in the ocean of what he taught. That's how special the Arizal was. And he has a book that is called The Gates of Reincarnation, Sha'ar HaGilgulim. The Sha'ar HaGilgulim is built from 40 chapters, 40 Hakdamot. And this is really the book that gives you all that you need to know about why am I here. What's the purpose of my life here? Now, this is not a book that you can open and read. It's a very difficult book to understand. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave me a great merit that a few months ago we opened a yeshiva, a seminary for women in Tzfat, called Be'er Miriam, the well of Miriam. And we started learning there a few months ago the Gates of Reincarnation. We're already now, a week ago, we finished the first chapter, the first Akdama, which took us about 3 months of going through. This is one chapter out of 40, and that's just the beginning, the Akdama, the introduction, which took us almost 2.5 months to go through it. But all these lessons are recorded. They're not loaded yet on my website, but very soon they're all going to be loaded on the website. It's going to be an entire course about the entire book of the Gates of Reincarnation. There's no other place in the world that explains and interprets this book. Some people can read it, they don't understand nothing. There are some sources in Hebrew, but there's nothing in English. So I strongly suggest we have these cards outside on your way out. Then take a card, check it in a few days, because the website now is 99% built. The course is going to be loaded there, and anybody can have access to this course. And it goes every week. We upload the new episodes, the classes that we learn. This is explained and taught in such a thorough and deep way that really, like I told you before, you cannot understand God's wisdom like that. It has to be taught. It has to be toiled. A person has to really dwell into it to understand exactly what I'm supposed to do here. If I want to make now a lot of money, and I say, okay, what makes money? A lawyer makes money. Okay, let me become a lawyer. You still have to invest 5 years in university, 4 or 5 years, and then another 4 or 5 years and getting into the trade, and maybe it will take you 20 years before you start making money. But yeah, it's a good, and doesn't mean that even you're going to make money. Some lawyers don't make money, some don't. So if I want to know what's my purpose in life, my purpose in life should actually be asked, not what is my purpose in life, is what is my purpose in eternity? Because this life is a tool to get me into my eternity, the ticket to get me into my eternity. So my question should not be what is my purpose in life, is what I should do in this life to fulfill the purpose of my eternal soul. That's a much greater question, a much more correct question to ask is, how am I getting to reach to my purpose in my afterlife, in my eternal life? And this world will help me to achieve it. So, to sum it all up, at least that you leave with something out of this room, is that I have to make my existence a mishkan, a tabernacle, holy. And if you have to leave with something out of this night, is that how I'm making myself more holy than I am. And this is not holy. I mean, it might look like holy. It's just a very long beard, that's it. Holy is inside. And if you need to go out with something out of tonight, is how am I making myself more pure? How am I controlling my thoughts that they'll be more pure? My speech, instead of saying a curse every 2 minutes, how can my speech be more pure? How can my thoughts be more pure? How can my actions be more pure? How can I have more patience to another human being? How can I look inside myself and do the right psychoanalyze my behavior the right way, that every day I'm actually growing one step closer to my purpose. And the reality is that there is a gem hidden in me. I just need to know how to pull it out. And the way to know how to pull it out, it's in the Torah. The Torah tells me everything. And I need patience. And I need to have understanding and love to the Kadosh Baruch Hu in the Torah to be able to start taking it on myself. And that's why I decided to do this course, because this course is the tool I found from so many different types of books. Baruch Hashem, the Kadosh Baruch Hu zika oti that for years I'm learning Torah. There are few books that actually give you tools to how to operate in this world. Because we have a very big misconception of what it means to serve Hashem. We think that serving Hashem, that if I have a black suit and a big hat and all day long I'm in a synagogue, that I'm serving Hashem. And that's a misconception. Serving Hashem, there's many ways to serve Hashem. It starts from a deeper place and rather than an external place. And I need to know that. Because I don't want my life to go through that I find myself that I've wasted my life. I have two options here. Either chas v'shalom, I'm leaving this world, and what happens if I left this world and I didn't fulfill what I'm supposed to do? Or even a much better option, I mean, Mashiach can come tonight, and now what? I'm going to be caught, wait a minute, I'm not done. Hey, I didn't do anything. Once Mashiach comes, that's it. They stop the stopwatch. That's it. Whatever you did, you did. The question is to which direction you're willing to take the chance. Either I'm going to reach to the end of my days and I didn't do anything, or Mashiach comes and I didn't do anything. The point is that I want to catch myself and saying, listen, this is an auspicious time. Either way you're looking at it, I have to utilize my time the right way of how am I focusing myself that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Don't worry about anything around you. Everything around you, getting married, parnasa, your mortgage, Kadosh Baruch Hu takes care of everything. You leave your worries to the Kadosh Baruch Hu and tell him, you worry about my problems, I'll worry about your problems. That's what the Kadosh Baruch Hu says. You do what I tell you, I'll worry about your problems, you worry about my problems. My problems right now is I want you to learn Torah and pray and eat kosher and keep Shabbat and go help that person, help that person. It's a good deal. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'll worry for you, you worry for me. So, Bezrat Hashem, Hashem should bless all of you, that you should have the ability to reach deep down in your neshama, to find the pure part of your neshama, to be able to bring it out, to start bringing it into action. And to find in yourself the place, how am I actually fulfilling my mission in this world of serving Hashem. Lo nivreti ela leshamesh et koni. I was created to serve my master, not anything else. And as long as I'm stuck with this concept, if I'm stuck with having not this concept. If what's stuck in my mind is that I was created to serve my master, then my entire life works completely different. It doesn't mean that I have to sit now all day long in a shul. Don't get my words wrong. Life continues. Because you can do much more mitzvot wherever Hashem wants you to do. If Hashem wants you to be a businessman, you will serve Hashem in your business. If Hashem wants you to become whatever it is, a mother of many kids, that's how you serve Hashem. But the point is that I have to understand every day that I was created only to serve the Kadosh Baruch Hu, not anything else. It's not about my will, it's about the Kadosh Baruch Hu's will. Somebody now asked me on the way here, we were talking, he presented a question and I told him, Hashem doesn't care. He wants you to care about His will. And as long as you're holding in a very egocentric way about what I need, it's not about it's not about you. It's about the Kadosh Baruch Hu's will. If you want to be successful, is you go after the Kadosh Baruch Hu's will, not your will. This is called the Ratzon HaElyon, the Ratzon of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. I told him, you think I want to be here? I don't want to be here right now. I mean, no offense. I like you all. I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be away from my family and away from my house and away from everything. But that's not my will. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't ask me what I want. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you in New York right now. I need you to do this, this, and this. I don't ask questions. I pack my bag and I leave. And if you ask me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do many things. But that's not my concern, is what I want. It's about what the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants from me. And if I hold in my way of thinking that it's about me, it's not about me, it's about what Hashem wants, the Ramban says, Ashpel tatzmecha v'yinasecha makom. Make yourself humble, make yourself small. Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to already rise you to levels you can't even imagine you can even reach. So whatever you're supposed to be, that's what you're going to be. If you let Hashem run the show. If you humble yourself. So Bezrat Hashem, we should all reach to the level that we really humble ourselves to a point that we're able to fulfill our purpose and really building a Mishkan to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because when we're able to build this Mishkan, Mishkan is a temporary tabernacle. There's a difference between a Mishkan and a Mikdash. A Mishkan is a temporary tabernacle, what they had in the desert for 40 years. And then in Eretz Yisrael for another 410 years. They had a Mishkan Shiloh, it was temporary. It wasn't the real Bet HaMikdash. Then came Bet HaMikdash. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, first you build a Mishkan, then I'll give you the Bet HaMikdash. And this is where it starts, now in Chodesh Adar. Because we have the ability by fulfilling the mitzvot of Purim to hastening the Geulah. The story of Purim is the story of the Geulah. And by me building a Mishkan, then I will be worthy to get the Mikdash. And not everybody, Chas v'Shalom, might be worthy to stand in front of Bet HaMikdash. This is a zchut. Can you imagine? For thousands of years, people were tortured and murdered, and we can see Bet HaMikdash with our eyes. But of course, it depends on me. It depends on my work, it depends on my avodah, and depends on what I do. So Bezrat Hashem, Hashem should bless you all with unbelievable success in your path, and whatever your heart desires should be fulfilled. That your Ratzon should become the Ratzon of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Bezrat Hashem, we should all merit to see with our own eyes the coming of Mashiach and the building of a Bet HaMikdash. And it should happen very speedy in our days. Bezrat Hashem should have a beautiful Chodesh and a Purim Sameach. And from the holiday of Purim, we march into the month of Nisan, the month of Geulah. Bezrat Hashem should all merit to see the coming of Mashiach very soon.